Hi, Susie. I'm so glad I finally got you.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here, Fiona. I'm not the best with technology at the best of
What,
times.
what a
Um,
shame.
I had my daughter in, my husband in, and we're all in. And I'm getting stressed, going, "Why me? Why me?"
It was a real family effort, but you got here eventually.
Teamwork, teamwork.
Teamwork, yeah. Just chill out. It's fine. These things happen. I had a technical issue last night as well, so I've already had to apologise to everybody last night as well. So I'm really glad that you could make it and that we managed to
Oh,
get live finally, because there's a lot of people waiting to watch to hear what you've got to say, Susie.
oh dear, and I've kept them waiting already. But
Dav made you nervous again. Tell me what you got up to today, because it was a gorgeous day in the sunshine.
do you know it was beautiful today, and I got up with good intentions, went out, sorted the garden because I heard the weather's going to be great for the next few days.
Uh-huh.
And then came in because I had a lot of work to do. So I actually spent all day at the computer. And then just later on, for about 45 minutes, I was out, and then came in to start panicking about this.
What a shame. Well, you're here now, so you can relax.
Mm.
Thanks very much for coming on late at night as well. It sounds like you've had a busy day.
Oh, it's absolutely fine. It was after, like I said, I mean, I haven't had the privilege of meeting you before, but when I seen a lot of the stuff you've been doing, and John and Gary had said she doesn't bite, she's really nice.
I do in real life, just can't reach you through the computer screen.
That's good to know. Good to know.
So tell us a wee bit about yourself, Susie, and what it is that you do.
Well, what do I do? I'm kind of jack of all trades, but primarily, like I said, my name's Suzie, and more recently, I've created the You Matter Always initiative. My background's been I've been a children and family social worker, and I was in nursing and been an independent advocate, and always caring the community and different things like that. Always been in the caring field.
Mm-hmm.
But mental health has always been a big, when I say passion of mine, it's something that I think, although we've come a long way, I still have grave concerns over the disparity between mental health and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So You Matter always really came about because, like many people, Fiona, I've gone through my own stuff, and spent an awful lot of my life trying to heal from childhood trauma. And I felt that when I was really, really struggling, one night particular, and I did end up in hospital because I was really unwell, and I got given a card with choose life and lots of numbers over it, and I kind of looked and I thought, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I in all of this?
Yeah.
Where's my choice? Where's my voice and all of that? And I came home, and it was really that night I sat and I started drawing out a wee card, and it was the You Matter Always card, and it was really, for me, it's like a wee pocket of memories and messages, because I thought, when people are struggling, often people don't need advice. They need a listening ear, they need a kind heart, they need someone who actually cares enough to listen to what's happening for them. So the wee card, I've got pictures of my daughters in mine. There's wee privacy windows, because as a children and family social worker, I was so conscious of this big focus on attachment, and yet there was such a, no, that's probably not the best word, disattachment, to a lot of children, not knowing where they came from, why they weren't with their families, why they've not got pictures of their siblings and stuff like that. So the card had like a wee privacy window, and the idea was for you to be able to write a message behind it that was just for the person.
Uh-huh.
So John and Megan and Lucy wrote one behind mine, because often when you are struggling or living with long-term illness or going through grief or trauma, you can hear what people are saying, but because of a disconnect with yourself, you can struggle to feel it. So people could tell you all day long and say, "You're not listening. I keep telling you this."
Mm-hmm.
I do listen. I hear everything you're saying, but I struggle to feel it because of how I feel about myself.
Yeah.
So the wee card reminds me of how far I've come, the achievements I've done. And I look at that if I'm really struggling. I can look at that and see all the good. So the card was the first thing that really came, because I thought there's just not enough people being heard. All the 20 odd years of in the care sector, people are like, Suzie, my voice isn't being heard. I'm not involved in decisions which affect me. Nobody really cares. They say they care. They say it's person-centred, but it's not. It's money-centred. And I thought, this isn't okay. It's really not okay, Fiona. I know there's, we have resource issues and all of that sort of stuff, but people often underestimate kindness and empathy and basic a human approach to life, you know. So that was really the reason for setting it up, to try. The wee Facebook page came a couple of years ago, and since then I've developed training. I write a lot of poems. I've done a lot of different talks, and I've volunteered for See Me, and I volunteer with the Scottish Recovery Council and the recovery walks, and RASA, a Renfrewshire Anti-Stigma Alliance. I'm a partner in that as well, and because we're all trying to tackle stigma and discrimination across Renfrewshire. So I'm kind of like a wee activist, probably.
You are, yeah. And how does the initiative work then? You Matter Always.
Well, like the initiative itself is, like I said, it's got different parts to it. So for the pages are primarily just a place to provide people with a sense of connection, to provide people with compassion, a sense of community, empathy, and just kindness. And we have, there's some great people on it, and over the years it's developed, and we have like Tactless Tuesday, which is a kind of, there's the odd wee swear word in there on the post, not many, but and we have Throwback Thursday, that's a kind of music thing, and Funny Friday, which is about jokes, and a lot of people message the page if they're struggling. And while I make it clear I'm not a professional, I'm not an expert, but I'm somebody that cares, and I'm here to listen. So I'll look the page, particularly with the lockdown, that sounds quite dramatic, but with the isolation, it's been really busy. A lot of the private messages, because people are struggling. But the other parts of YMA is I deliver a course. I created a course called All That You Are, because again, I felt, everybody focuses on upskilling everybody. There's this course, that course, and, all of these different things to upskill. But people have so many skills already, and it's just that they're not valued or recognised as societal norms. And yet I would argue that certainly when I look at job specifications of desirable and essential criteria, the things that I used as a social worker that made me a good social worker are the same things I use in a family system. It's just another system. So it's difficult to kind of sum up, because there's lots of different parts to it.
And I suppose with the course, what you're actually saying to somebody who is feeling a bit down on themselves, that actually a lot of the skills you've already got, ignore your negative voice, because they're actually really valuable skills.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the whole point of creating it, because I said, look, this celebrates you. This is all about you and the capacities and the abilities and the strengths and the wisdom. Because even when people are going through a process of recovery or rediscovery, Fiona, it takes every bit of fuel they have in their tank. It takes every skill they've ever had in their life, because you're technically at times fighting for survival. And there's no stronger people that I know. When I've watched SAS recently and looking at the boxer and stuff, and I'm thinking, it's funny how vulnerability was always looked at as a weakness. And yet here's people that can go and stand in a ring, but they can't even take the time or find the courage to talk to somebody. So I think society's got a way to go to learn from peer support to me is the way of the future. It's where I've done most of my learning, from the people that I've met that actually take the time to care, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that thing, I was talking to another lady before, Leslie Marsh, and she was talking about how, you know, to combat that inner voice and things like that. And I think sometimes we're very hard on ourselves, and we can say some things to ourselves that we would never ever say to anybody else in the street, because, you know, it would be just so horrible, really, aren't they, some of the things? So I suppose kind of I can see from having your card, it's a little reminder that, you know, yes, there are people there. Yes, you are valued. Yes, there are. And your course, there's some really good things about you and some skills there that you have to remember you've got, no matter what your inner voice or your inner demon or whatever people want to call it is telling you, and you're battling against yourself when you're in a situation like that, I would imagine.
Oh, I mean, the thing is, I think because your inner dialogue is primarily, you know, influenced by your subconscious mind, and it takes practice. It's not, I say that in the course, this isn't going to change people overnight and suddenly they're all these confident, self-assured people are walking about, because that's normally not the way people end up anyway. They're still humble. But hopefully value themselves a bit more, and that's the whole point. The whole way through the course, it's very strengths-based. I've always been a strengths-based practitioner, and I've always applied it personally and professionally, and it's a way of kind of looking at capacities. It's not ignoring or allowing for poor behaviour. It's not ignoring risk. It's simply going, do you know what? Yeah, I can see that you can't do that. Like, even in social work, families that were struggling, I couldn't if I held myself to the same account that some families are, I'd be like, I can't jump through that hoop. So you're going in and saying, do you know what? Okay, you're not there yet. See if we just add that yet word on at the end. But you know what you're doing great is this. So let's work on that. And that's basically, to me, that's what strengths-based work is all about. It's about looking at capacities that people have. And I would argue that because of the way, historically, even when you look at mental health, people locked up under the Lunacy Act and ridiculous things like that, and only kind of changing big in the last 20 years, 15 years. So the fact, when I'm saying I keep getting told about kindness, and oh yeah, you're always going on about kindness. And honestly, Fiona, say to me, without it, life is just cruel and unkind. And it's the one thing everybody can afford to give. And if everybody led with kindness, the world would be a much nicer place. And it's often undervalued, you know, oh, is it evidence-based? I follow a lot of people that write about it, and Dr. David Hamilton's one of the particular gents who does amazing work in kindness, amazing work. And he talks about it being the fabric of life, and without it, society would simply unravel. And I'm like, why are we always overcomplicating? Why are we looking for interventions, tick boxes with 100 questions to determine if you're this, 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 this? A child struggling, an adult struggling, you just want somebody to care. You don't want to be fixed, because some parts of you will never be fixed. They might heal, but it can be hard to overcome certain things in life. So a lot of it is just coming down to, I care, I'm here, I understand. That's it.
And in a way, I suppose it's a small step which seems manageable to people. If somebody's saying, look, I'm not expecting anything from you really, but let's talk. It's far different from saying, look, we're going to get you to the point where you don't feel this way anymore, or, you know, that's not relevant to you anymore. Because I suppose people are thinking, well, that's always going to be relevant to me, so I don't trust what you're asking me to do or what you're telling me you can do, because I don't think that's ever going to go away. But what you're saying is just these little small steps all the time, and just being kind and nice is helping that person kind of develop themselves coping mechanisms, I suppose, to move forward a wee bit.
I think so, Fiona, because we often, like I said, there's so many buzzwords out there changing all the time for so many different areas of work and professions. But underneath it all, I mean, the kindness approach, even when you go back to 18th, 19th century, kindness, the kindness approach, I think it was then called, or the moral treatment, something like that, was how it helped people with mental health. And then all the pharmaceutical companies come in, things changed, and now 100 years or so on, we're right back to we need people to be kinder. Mm-hmm. So it's not went away. It never goes away. Whether you're grieving, whether you're going through a process of change, whether you're at school worried about exam results, whether you're giving birth to a new baby, whether you're going through not able to have a child, whatever it is, if you lead with kindness, I believe, that's to me is all people really need as a start point. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with my mental health issues, I take medication, I've had therapy, but it's not instead of, it's as well as. It's not, oh yeah, well, just kindness will fix the world. No, it won't. But it'll go a lot further to fix put a lot of wrongs right, mm-hmm. than just everybody comparing each other and less compassion. We need so much more compassion, I believe, anyway.
And let's face it, if you're kind, it makes you feel better as well. Mm-hmm. And people will be kind back. It's a karma thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's that authentic kindness. Because, again, we can have so many different buzzwords, and when a serious event happens, you've got hashtags all over the place, whatever they may be. Mm-hmm. It's not a one-time act. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just, as you know, did the Wheel of Kindfulness for Mental Health Awareness Week.
And I did ask for you to bring it on, but I was too late.
I know. Because I was so fed up spinning it. As soon as I'd finished, I'm like putting all the bits off it.
Oh, it's a brilliant
idea. Again, it was more, it's not a 1 week thing. It's not a 1 day thing, a 1 hour thing. It's a lifestyle. Kindness is a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's a way of working. It's a way of doing, and it's a way of being. Mm-hmm. And it costs nothing.
Yeah. Sorry, Suzanne, do you think things are changing? Because there's been a lot of stuff in the social media, even before the pandemic, when the presenter, I forget her name, the female presenter of Love Island, unfortunately, she committed suicide. And there was a lot, and I know you're saying about the hashtags and that kind of thing, but it stuck about that hashtag, and hopefully that hashtag is going to stick about for a long time, because social media can be very, very cruel.
Oh, very. And I think that's the thing with hashtags and messages. They're helpful and they have their place, but actions speak so much louder than words. Mm-hmm. We can all sit keyboard warriors behind going, I'm one myself. I sit going, is that right? And replying to lots of things. But words are really important, but action, you have to follow it through with an action. Otherwise, they're just words. Mm-hmm. And I've found, even delivering the All That You Are course, for a lot of people, Fiona, I mean, one woman said to me, she says, Suzie, like older people as well, are like, nobody's ever told me that I matter. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine what that must have been like. Yeah. Basic things that we can all afford to give, and yet they're so far down the list of what can make change. And arguably that's what makes social change, is people helping people, mm-hmm. people valuing people, kindness being an action, kindness being an act, not a one-time thing. Mm-hmm. And certainly to me it's basic things. Listen, when people are listening, I've come across a lot of people and it's like, no, I'm a great listener, and this is the but do you listen to reply and reprimand, or do you listen to understand? There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. So as a mum, I've listened and I've already got the solution and I'm going to fix everything. But I had to really sit back and go, this isn't helping anybody, Suzie. This is making you feel better, but it's not actually helping your daughters. So there's even with listening, you have to listen to understand, not to reply or judge or reprimand. Basic things that we can all do.
And how do you think this can be taught to people? Or do you think that, you know, because kindness, you would just assume the people around about you, people that you know, they are kind people and that they always are. Is there something extra that, you know, how does it get out and about?
Honestly, I do believe that anything can be taught or learned, because anything that's usually learned can be unlearned, and it can be relearned at different ways and with different support systems. But to me, like I said, there's a lot of kindness out there. There's so much kindness out there. You just have to look at all the community groups, all the peers helping each other, all the connections that people are trying to make to highlight the goods. There's so much out there. There really is. It's just I wish it was more valued as a way of living, as a way of helping. Do you know, going in and leading with kindness is a lot better, I would say. Not in all, obviously you've got to assess every situation, but I'm talking in general. Leading with kindness is much nicer than coming in already assuming that there's all these problems. Why not go in and kind of think, right, what possibilities are there here? It's just shifting it to a more strengths-based approach, I would say.
Yeah.
But I do my wee bit, Fiona, every day. I'm like, and there's a lot of things, you know, people have kind of said rose-tinted glasses, and in social work it was, oh, here she comes with rose-tinted glasses, going to change. She's in the East End of Glasgow. It's not going to happen. I don't care if I didn't go in to people that are already struggling, leading with kindness. Why am I there? If I go in thinking they're not going to change, what am I going in to try and change behaviours for then? To me, it's as simple as that. Be a bit nicer.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because we get caught up, don't get me wrong, you know, you could have so many cases. Social workers are so busy, so are so many professions. And arguably even management. Take the time. How are you doing? Are you all right? Do you want, you know, it doesn't have to be in supervision, just a wee check-in. How are you doing the day? You've had a hard day today. You managing okay? Just, you know, at the end of a shift, when I was in nursing, you would have a staff nurse going, thanks, that was a great shift. I would go, I'm going to do more for her, because she's actually just showed a bit of gratitude and a bit of kindness. And to me, the benefits far outweigh anything else.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. And going back to the SAS, I can't remember if it was last series or the series before, the female winner was a real tough cookie. Obviously she won it, but she was a doctor. I think she was a cancer specialist, and you know, one of the questions they were asking her was about why she was so tough, really, and why, you know, there was this barrier up. And she was saying it came from her work, when she obviously felt that she had to protect herself, because she was getting into situations where if she felt too much empathy every time she had to deliver a bad message, then she probably wouldn't be able to carry out her job. And I wonder if a little bit of what you're talking about kind of stems from that, just dealing with really difficult situations every single day makes people sort of put this facade, this barrier up.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's not, I think people sometimes mistake kindness or positive, a positive, strengths-based, optimistic outlook as always being happy and always ignoring, you know, not taking things seriously. And that's absolutely not what it is. You know, in my own background, I've experienced really horrendous things, and I've seen cruelty, and I've experienced cruelty at levels that people just shouldn't experience it. So I know what it's like. So I could choose to be that way, or to let these sort of things really destroy who I am in essence. But I'm not willing to do that, because people can, you can lose parts of your childhood, lose so many things, but I'm not going to lose my integrity. I'm not going to let a cruel world make me hard.
Yeah.
So I think, again, with softness isn't about being a walkover or not, crying or all of these things. It's just about trying to, like, that empathy. You can have empathy and still not show huge emotion, but still be able to reiterate to somebody that I'm here. That's it. Do you know? I'll be here when you need me, or drop a wee letter, or I notice you, peers at school dropping wee things in their school bags for people. Listen, I didn't see your smile today. Here's one of mine, and I'm here if you need to chat, whatever it is. It's not life-changing, huge things people need to do. It's small thoughts of kindness. Well, I do get what you're saying, Fiona. I do think you've got to protect yourself, and the different jobs I've been in, I've had to, but it's not stopped me from showing empathy. And I'm a great follower of Brené Brown. She's an American researcher and social worker, and she talks about the kind of power of vulnerability, and she talks about the showing up and being seen. And to me, her whole I just love her work, and I think she gets it right, because she talks about empathy fueling connection and sympathy driving disconnection. And empathy, that's it. If you're saying to somebody, I'm really struggling, actually, I've just lost my brother, sister, mum, and somebody goes, but at least you've still got a dad, or at least you've still got that's going nowhere. That's sympathy. That all that does is invalidate rather than, I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. I'm here. Do you want to talk? And if they don't, I'm just going to sit here for a wee bit, all right? Or whatever it is. It's just, to me, empathy doesn't have to make you soft, if that's the word that people tend to use. I think empathy, it comes with great strength, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was just playing devil's advocate there. I just had it in mind that what the girl was saying, and that was her reason. And I think eventually she did actually break down, and they'd said to her, look, you do actually need to remove that barrier, because that's not helpful in your life to go through your life, and probably your work as well, and be like that.
You can't. I think that's the thing. I think I kind of got to a point where I kind of burned out, really, and it's trying to kind of realise and get to know yourself better, and get to know, if it is mental illness, if you've got a diagnosis, what does that mean for you? What does it look like? How do I live well? How do I thrive and not just survive? So there's a lot that starts with us, and there's a lot of again being kind to ourselves, and starting to just value who we are, because who we are really does matter. And it's just because so often we've maybe been told or shown that you don't matter as much because of X, Y, and Z. But everybody has a right to be treated fairly. Everybody has a right to be treated with respect and dignity. And sometimes I think, like I said, it's undervalued, Fiona, because even as a social worker, I had so many different interventions and so much evidence-based stuff, which is brilliant. And it has to be used. But if I just went in and used that as in a cold way, right, I'm here, whereas if I could go in and do the same thing and ask questions to get the same answers. So to me, it's not so much the intervention, it's how it's applied, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And how do you see this change happening? What would make you happy, in the next couple of years, Suzie, differences that you could see in society?
I'm so thankful that for mental health in particular, mental health and addiction recovery, rediscovery, whatever words people want to use, Fiona, that there is a change coming, and it is happening. And I'm glad, like I said, that peer support is getting more valued. That if services are starting to use people that use the services, include them in interview panels. I hope it never becomes tokenistic. I think it has to be authentic. It has to be purposeful. And for me, we are moving in the right direction. And like I said, lockdown, there is so much kindness out there. And that's why the page, I try and make You Matter Always is a well-being and a positive, happy. It's not always happy, but it's positive realism. I kind of think, because there's enough stuff out there, and to me, if we just keep repeating it and repeating it, and I'll never stop telling people how important they are, because people have told me for years and years and years good things, and I hear it and I hear it and I hear it, but I struggle to feel it. But I'm starting to feel it because I'm around it more, and the people that I choose to be around are good for my heart, my mind, and my soul. So I think it's really important that we start looking at who we're around and what kind of energy we're getting from people, and realise that in jobs, doctors, nurses, all these sort of different professions, any profession at all, being a mum, being a parent, being a carer, look, all of these things, when they lead with kindness, to me, it's just a nicer way. And I do think it will happen. I think kindness leads to more kindness. Just like aggression meets aggression, kindness leads to more kindness. And the people that don't get it, that's absolutely fine. That's maybe not where they're at. They might never be there. That's okay. But, there's one, Fiona, if you don't mind, there was one saying that particularly stuck with me. And when I was in social work, I was, like I said, there was a gentleman, Dennis Levy, that was a pioneer of strengths work in America. And I loved the theory of it, and I used it all the time. And then I heard that he had passed away not long after I graduated. And I went on and I wrote a wee bit on his eulogy, obituary, I don't know what you call it, online, just saying, thanking him for enriching me as a person, a professional, all of that. And a gentleman messaged me back that does some amazing work on the strengths perspective in the UK, Mr. Mike Pegg. And he's got like a website called The Positive Encourager, and it's fantastic. And he said to me, I said, I worry though, Mike, I've been told about the rose-tinted glasses so many times. And I said, and I don't have rose-tinted glasses. I says, I'm somebody that's felt the pain, that's experienced the pain, and I don't want anybody else to feel that way. And he says, Suzie, I think you wear clear-sighted spectacles that see the world as it should be, as it portrays it is, and don't ever lose it. Don't lose it. Don't ever change your spectacles. And I'm like, I love that. I said, can I borrow that? And he's like, you can have that one. You can have that one. So,
oh, yeah, that's great. I'm sure I remember my mum saying something similar to me when I was young as well. And what you're saying about, being nice, it doesn't mean you're daft. That all makes sense.
Absolutely. Don't mistake kindness for foolishness. It's absolutely not. You can be kind, and equally, my family would be like, oh, I wouldn't go up against an argument against Suzie. Or if I'm on the phone complaining about something, Megan's like, so glad I'm not answering that call, Mum. But kindness, where kindness is due, and to me, thankfully, because it is getting more evidence-based, like I said, Dr. David Hamilton's doing some amazing work. There's a psychotherapist, I think he's a psychotherapist, who has done work on kindfulness. And that's why I called it the Wheel of Kindfulness, because he just talks about kind of being a friend to the person you are now, not waiting until you think there's a perfect you, because it'll probably never happen. Because is anybody perfect? I don't think so. I think it's about progress, not perfection. And practice makes possibilities, and all it is just practice, practice, practice. The days you can do it, great. The days you can't do it, don't worry about it. But every day, people need to know how important they are, and need to know that they matter, and need to know that what they're thinking matters, what they're feeling matters, their voice, what story they have within them matters, and their life matters always, always. And you never have to go through anything alone, because we're not meant to. We're not meant to go through things alone. So that's all that. Honestly, it sounds cliche because of what I've been told in the past, but I actually think kindness will create more kindness.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you go on your first time somebody meets you and you're in a bad mood and you don't come across very well, then they're not exactly going to they're going to reciprocate that equally, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Do something nice, and people will act differently with you, and people will be more friendly, and they'll be more helpful, and they'll be kinder back to you.
And I think that's the thing, Fiona, like you say, it's that definitely not mistaking kindness for foolishness, because again, it's like that maybe people could pull the wool over your eyes, or people, you know, that being kind means that you're, like I said, not that you could be walked over. That's not it at all. Do you know, it's just about realising that actually, I know when people speak to me, when I wasn't well, and the CPN that I had was an amazing woman, Sophia, she's an amazing woman, and she met me with kindness every time. And that's when I started to grow, to blossom, to kind of come to terms with what happened, to kind of have hope, a lot more hope, because somebody took the time to listen, and somebody took the time to kind of hear, to see where I fit, or where I think I fit. And that changed everything. And I think that's where, if we can just all be a lot kinder, Fiona, I think a lot of societal wrongs would be put right.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had loads and loads of comments all the way through here, Suzie.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, there's loads and loads.
Oh, how sweaty and red I am.
They're all lovely comments. KG Wiley says authenticity, definitely. Megan, so incredibly proud of you, Mum. You're an incredible role model. Absolutely agree with that, Megan, definitely. Dermot, I thought it was the Wheel of Fortune.
Funny.
And Susan, a very simple but powerful emotion, kindness.
Yes. It really is, Fiona. And never under. Sorry, Fiona.
I'll just read you this one before you say what you were about to say. Try not forget. It's there's nothing pink and fluffy about kindness either, and there's loads of scientific evidence to back it up. KG Wiley.
Oh, I knew it would be. That's my buddy. That's my buddy. We do a lot of anti-stigma work, and we do a time to talk tour. That an idea we came up with, to go around Scotland and hear the voices of the people of Scotland, and that was our 3rd year there. It's like a week long, and again, it's really trying to say that, you know, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not understand something, but it's absolutely never okay to stigmatise or discriminate because of it.
Yeah.
And she's brilliant, and she got me a beautiful book of kindness, and because she's like, I know that's what you always say, and it's even evidence-based. So
that's what she's talking about.
And as I said, I mean, it was used 200 years ago.
Yeah,
it's not. It's there. It works. It's and if anything, it just makes people's day a little bit nicer.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. It's part of who we are as humans. We live in groups. We always have lived in groups. You know, we've always had to be nice to other people. I suppose maybe where some of the problems have come is people being out with those groups, and how maybe naturally we are towards, just genetically, towards people outside in other groups. And maybe that's where some of the kind of horrible stuff comes from. So it's about, I suppose, adjusting to live in a really huge group, because we do, you know, it's just a really big group, and trying to identify with everybody that we should be equally kind to everybody, no matter who they are or whether we know them or not.
And I think it's that as well, Fiona. It's not, being kind isn't about agreeing with everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you know, it's not, oh, you've done that, oh, don't worry, that's okay. Do you know, it's not about accommodating bad behaviour. It's not about, like I said, you know, not acknowledging wrongs and rights and things like that. It's just, like I said, a way of delivering a message, or, you know, a way of, hopefully, to me, and in so many ways, it changes lives and it saves lives. Mm-hmm. It really does. You know, somebody on the brink of struggle, somebody coming along sort of saying, I'll be back in 10 minutes, or hold on there, or, you know, and we've not all got the time. So it's not, but if we all do it, one person, because of that domino effect, mm-hmm. I think anyway, it makes a cruel world and a difficult world for so many a lot more manageable, mm-hmm. I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, I think kindness, it's something, being attentive. It can be, you know, small things, because small's beautiful. It's any small wee thing can make a massive difference. A listening ear, a kind word, a compliment, these sort of things. I don't think people, because it's not, how do you measure it? Because you can't measure, you know, it's difficult to measure that kind of data anyway.
Yeah, and it's so different depending on what that person's circumstances are, because maybe an elderly lady who maybe hasn't spoken to anybody for 2 days, just you being nice to her in the supermarket queue could be massive.
Absolutely.
You know, you measure that, because there's too many variables, really, isn't there?
There is, and I think that's why it has been very difficult to evidence. Mm-hmm. And yet everybody that you speak to, it's not the very foundations of You Matter Always were built on the wise words of Dr. Maya Angelou. And she talks about people forgetting what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's it. Mm-hmm. Do you know, it's I don't remember a lot of things that people have said to me, but I come out and I remember how I felt, good and bad. Mm-hmm. So if you can, there's times where I want to help somebody and I can't. That doesn't make me a bad person. It's just somebody else is going to be there that day to help that person. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a way, to me, it's a way of living. You know, it's a way of living and working and doing and loving and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah. Be kind.
Uh-huh. And you know, you just are a little ray of sunshine, Suzie. You know, when I watch your videos, you're just so happy. You just look, you know, you just shine. I think it's lovely to watch. Yeah.
This is the perimenopausal shine. This is the glow. This is going through the change. This is like
not shining that way. No, you're bubbly. It comes across, you know, and you're lovely to watch. Your videos are great, and I always want to see what different hairstyle you have, because you're quite talented with the changes. Because I'm always like, wow, and then the next day it's like totally different. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's fabulous.
You know, I'm a nightmare. I've always been the same, you know. And the sad thing is, see, John, when you spoke to him, he could go out to work in the morning, right? And I could be blonde, and he could come in at night and I'm jet black. And he'll be like, is there something different about you? Aye. Hair colour, you know, but I get so bored with it. So
each one's just different. It's very talented.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm just impatient. But no, Fiona, listen, thank you. Like I said, it's a simple message, mm-hmm. and
I really want a message.
Yeah, it's something that, like you know, kindness is a way of life, and I think that's the most important thing. I would say to people, it's not a one-time act. It's not a one-week thing. It's not a campaign awareness one-day thing. It's a start point for so many people, but it's a way of living and a way of working and a way of doing, if you like. And if you can be anything, be kind, I would say.
And I guess sometimes it takes that one person to be kind to somebody. And if that person has never had that before, then that's going to start the process of them starting to be kind to other people as well. And it's that domino effect that you mentioned.
Yeah, learned behaviour. Do you know that's it? People learn through observation.
Yeah.
People learn through you know, listening and mirroring what other people do. So
Absolutely.
why not mirror something and give them something good to
Mm-hmm.
mirror? And to me, you know, it's not about, to me, it's not about changing your child or your person to fit into the world. It's about staying who you are to your authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
and let them all sort it out, sort of thing. You know, stay true and authentic.
That's been great. Thank you so much, Suzie. I've loved chatting to you. It's been brilliant. If anybody here's watching and they don't already know you, how do they get in touch with you? I'll put the link to your Facebook up above.
Right.
But if they wanted to do your course or anything like that, how best to get in contact with you?
I mean, see if they want to send they can send a message through any of I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well, although I'm not very good with that. I'm progressing there. But people do send messages, and I'm learning how to get back to them on stuff.
Okay.
Or I have an email, which is youmatteralways@virginmedia.com.
Okay.
People could email me, and I send stuff that way if they want to know anything. But again, the page is ideal. Just drop me a wee message and let me know how you're doing.
Okay, brilliant, lovely. Thanks so much, Suzie.
No, you take care, Fiona. Keep being awesome.
And thanks very much to everyone who's watched as well. There's been loads of people watching all the way through, so thanks to everybody who's watching live, and also the people who watch on catch up as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Fiona.
Thanks, Suzie.
Bye bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for your time.